Planet Magazine.
Also known as Wednesday 13.
Welcome to Brutal Planet Magazine.
Welcome to Brutal Planet Magazine.
This is all comfortable video. Welcome to Brutal Planet Magazine.
You're listening to Brutal Planet.
Hey, what's up, everybody? CJ Pierce here from Toronto Pool, and you're listening to Brutal Planet Media right here. Get yourself.
Hey, I'm Steve from Within the Ruins, and this is Brutal Planet.
Greetings, Brutal Planet. It's a big one today. We have Joe from Within the Ruins. I don't know if you noticed, but your lead vocalist is kind of like the segue on our intro, too.
Yeah, I'm definitely not Steve, but I'm here.
No, that's okay. We were actually looking forward to talking to you, man, because we're both guitar players.
Okay.
And
cool.
so, we have a lot of questions to ask you. But I've been a big fan of the band for a few years now, as has Dryden. But for people who might not know about you guys or kind of what your history is, tell us your origin story. Tell us like kind of how the band came about, and as brief or as long as you want to be with that.
Yeah, that's okay. I'm not usually brief, but here we go.
That's okay.
I started playing guitar when I was like 8 or 9. And I met our drummer, who's still our drummer, in high school in like 2000, I think. So it kind of started there. We pretty much like kind of learned how to play all together. He couldn't really play drums at all when I met him, but yeah, we just did like a lot of covers. We learned like Metallica, Pantera, like all that shit, the usual story. Played together all through high school, and then we would record like EPs. We'd go to local studios, get a bunch of songs together, record, pretty much do nothing with them. We'd play live shows local. I don't think it wasn't really till like maybe 2006, like a few years after we graduated, we decided to buy a van and tour. I was trying college, and I was like, I knew I didn't want to do it. I knew I wanted to do music. So, and our drummer was all about it. He was like, come along, sounds good. So did some DIY touring from then up till like 2009, I think, when we signed to Victory. So yeah, our first real full length was Creature that we put out with Victory, but we had a few EPs that I think are still out, right? They're still available online now. But those weren't with a label. Yeah, that's pretty much it, man. I've been doing this band my whole life, pretty much. Before it was technically called Within the Ruins, I've just always done it, and I've always played with drummer. I'm sure we call him drummer. So yeah, dude, that's pretty much it.
Well, you guys are. I've been a fan for a minute, just because I feel like in the metal world, especially these days, there's not a lot of bands that are doing something that's distinctly unique. And
Yeah.
you guys are doing that. Like, you guys have this Sound, and Dryden said this to me earlier, that's just, you put on a Within the Ruins song and you can instantly tell it's Within the Ruins.
Good. Yeah. I've definitely gotten to hear that over the years. I think that's just been my goal in a way. I mean, that has to be your goal, especially when you start out. Like, I mean, it's not like it is today, but when we started, it was like, I looked at it as almost like it had a little bit of a competition to it when you're starting out. As much as, I mean, we loved it and we were doing it either way, but we wanted to take it, as far as we could. So it was clear to me that you have to do something different or unique. Otherwise you're going to just, be in the mix with all the other bands. You got to stand out if you want to make it somewhere. That's kind of been my idea. And make it as in like, be able to just tour and do what we love to do, which is where we're at. But yeah, man, I agree. It didn't happen overnight, but it just kind of developed as you write and you do album after album or group of songs into the next group of songs. It's, even as a writer, it's always like, well, what am I going to do here that's interesting for us, interesting for myself, always kind of challenged myself to bring something new to the table with every album that we did. So, and I still try to do that. Otherwise, it's boring for me too. So, yeah.
Dryden, you got a question?
I was just interested. So I read that you do most of the production.
Yep.
That is awesome because I'm a guitar player myself, so I've been recording and doing all that, getting into that process. So it's awesome to see that you're doing it yourself.
For sure. Yeah, it's a good way to go. I mean, there's ups and downs that come with that and doing it on your own, but yeah, I think it was around when we were recording Elite in like 2012, 2013. We were working with our producer Josh Wickman, who we still work with. He still mixed and mastered the new album.
Yeah.
I learned so much shit from him because it was like he was kind of learning from us on the other side, as from the band side, but like we hit it off. Like he feels like he's part of the band, you know. He still does. We don't get to work with him hands on too often anymore, but from him I was just, you know, in a little bit involved with, I was always over his shoulder, like watching what he was doing in Pro Tools, and just like I eventually got to the point where I was like, I could probably do what he's doing. I mean, not his mind, but I was like, I should be able to learn this shit and do some of my own. I was already doing like half-ass recording on like my laptop with whatever the hell program was free. But and I always recorded on tape like back in the day, so I knew kind of about it. But yeah, it's great to be able to do it on ourselves. We have our own studio, and I've been doing our stuff since the original Phenomena, so it's been about 10 years, and it's good as long as you can stay disciplined, and as long as you can you know, remember to do both sides of it, the band, the writing, the performance, the creative, but also you're in charge of all the shit sounding good, so you gotta you gotta remember to be on that side of it too, because when you're in the moment and you're recording, you're tracking with Steve here. A lot of times I don't know what he's gonna do for vocal parts or like where we're going until we get into it, and then you get into it and you kind of forget you're even tracking sometimes. I do. So but yeah, it's a great way to do it, man, especially when you know, you save some money, save some time and travel. You get to do it on your own terms, so it makes the record
you just have more freedom. It's more like your own. I feel like it's your own. It feels more like your own art, you know, like you really built this whole project.
Yeah, 100%. Even it's definitely like that, because even as I got further into recording, I was demoing like this album, for example. I was sitting down writing, I was tracking as I was writing. I was tracking as fast as I could, you know. I can write in my head, I can write quicker than I can record shit. But a lot of times I'd be like, you know, creating parts around effects or creating parts around what I could do on the engineering side, so that it, you know, affected the music. Whereas like normally that wouldn't happen until you get to the actual studio and start recording. But at that point, your songs are usually done or supposed to be done. So yeah,
if you want something done right, do it yourself.
Sorry,
if you want something done right, sometimes you got to do it yourself.
Sure, I guess so. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's great to work with other people and shit too. But I just love it.
You guys have control, like more control over your sound too. When I talked to Steve before, he mentioned that you guys have a brewery too.
Yeah, that's what I do for work mainly. My brother and I own a brewery here in Westfield, where I grew up, and we've been doing that for like we opened like 7 years ago. So yes, it's cool, and the studio is in the same building. So that's
badass.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the new album a little bit. It's Phenomena 2. I listened to it a couple times. I think it's probably your best album yet. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I feel like you guys kind of take what you're doing to a new level. Like there's a lot of the stuff that, you know, within the ruins. Like I really love a lot of the kind of like tap type stuff. It almost sounds like video game-esque that you do. That's totally signature to your band. Do you have a lot of video game influence? I mean, I think I heard some Easter eggs in some of the earlier tracks too.
Yeah, there are Easter eggs. They're not always intentional. They just kind of like come out when I'm writing and I'm like, oh, should I do that? That could go there. Yeah, I always tell everybody I was just like a a big NES nerd when I was really young. And you know how all the NES, like the 8-bit music is.
Yeah.
I guess it could be that could contribute to it. Like I fucking loved NES. Like I never really moved on from it. I still have some, and once in a while I'll plug them in just to fuck around. But yeah, that could be it. I mean, I don't know where that really started, but I think I was more of a rhythm guitar player for a long time. I think I still am, but when we got signed, when we were doing that Creature album, it was like, oh, I can use the rest of the guitar, and like I can do like I need some like shreddy like lead shit, but because I could never like sweep pick, and I wasn't like a schooled like, shredder per se. I was doing it like in a percussive way, just to get lead shit in there because that was the only way I could play it. So it's kind of a little bit of how that sound came about, I think, and then yeah, like you said, that really stuck out to a lot of people. So I was like, oh, I got something here. I gotta, and it's super fun making parts like that.
Yeah, it's so distinct. Let me ask you this: when you guys play live, because like on the new album, there's a lot of parts where you're kind of doing that dancing over the top of the rhythm. Do you guys? Does the bass play? That's the bass player playing the rhythm right there, right? Do you, live in a live situation, how do you guys do that?
Yeah, there's definitely too many guitars on the album, but like, I mean, it's no different than if you hear like a Metallica album, for example, when there's a solo section, sometimes there's harmonies and you still have rhythms left and rhythms right. You have more guitars than there are guitar players. So I might have taken that a little bit further, but yeah, our live setup has changed a lot because we were 2 guitar players for a while. It was just me, and I was doing like I had like a board, like a sample board where I could record the rhythm. And then as I get to the lead part, I hit the loop, and then the rhythm guitar played under it. Like I did shit like that. Well, but it was like too much dancing around on stage. So now I just, for a lot of that, like if for the samples and the song intros, those are just tracks, obviously, because we play to a click and we have to stop. And a lot of times when I play a solo, for example, it'll actually be the other harmony that I recorded that will play through front of house as I play to it.
Okay.
And obviously bass in there with some serious distortion on some of the parts where I'm playing just the leads, but it's a lot of shit, but it's like we try to do it as much as we can without completely depending on tracks, and we still want to play, but we also like being a 4-piece and not having 2 guitar players, because that was a lot of ego there and a lot of more shit to worry about. So kind of all over the place when we do it live, but we try to present the music so that it sounds like the album, but still actually play too. So
yeah, there were parts on the new album where it almost like it would have, to me, it would have sounded great live if there were no other guitar tracks and it was just you playing the lead and maybe the bass player playing the distorted rhythm, almost like kind of what Pantera would do live.
Yeah, we'll see. Maybe that's where a producer would come in, other than myself, because like I'm just have my go-to way of like there has to be rhythms, they have to be doubled, there has to be this and that. But
you're a guitar player.
Yeah.
It's like I'm big on that too, man. Like if I record, it's like you want your guitars to sound huge.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's definitely been a big part of our music, the guitar stuff. I mean, in the last few albums, I focused a bit more on making songs, so that like writing to have vocals, because I used to just write a million riffs that fit together, and then it'd be like, oh shit, we got to put vocals over it. But it's been guitar prominent, I feel like, until lately.
So there's like 3 instrumentals on the new record. Is that maybe the reason, some of the reason behind that?
Yeah, I mean, the reason there's 3, I'm not sure. I just was in the process of writing and tracking took like 3 years. So a lot of times I wouldn't even sit down and write with writing a song in mind for the album. I would just write for myself, and that's usually what the instrumental tracks are. It's me writing without vocals in mind, just kind of just writing for fun. And we've always done instrumentals. Yeah, kind of because of that. It's like this song's pretty rad, and it would be stupid with vocals because it wouldn't make sense, you know. It's
Sure.
just like it's like a cool opportunity to just really show off some stuff musically and just focus on the music. Again, Metallica had instrumentals, and that's where I got that idea from. I was like, nobody does this shit. So back in the day, we always had instrumentals, but yeah, those were, I just happened to have more than usual, and they, you know, I worked on them over the course of 3 years, and I thought it'd be cool because we always do instrumentals. We always have at least 2, so we figured we'd step it up a little bit on this one, and it breaks up the album a little bit better too, I think. So
They're all great.
thanks.
Dryden, you got anything?
I would say I really like like touching on that video game stuff was interesting to me because I'm also, I mean, we've both been super nerdy NES game, and I just love the, like, there's no one really doing something like that right now.
I still listen to like Mega Man soundtracks and like
Yeah, and those
Castlevania stuff like
those dudes that were making those songs were listening to a lot of American rock and stuff like that. So it's kind of like a double, you know.
Yeah, it's very true. I forget who the composer is that did a lot of the shit. Anyway, it's funny you said that because like yeah, there'd be times where I'd throw on just the music, play it on YouTube, just like find like a walkthrough of a game,
Yeah,
and listen to it because it's like nostalgic and it's just fun as fuck. Like a lot of those, all the theme songs are just like fucking awesome. So
they're well
you have
composed. If you
a favorite game?
The Legend of Zelda was
Like
top game. I'm sure everybody says that. And the
Metroid from that era is a game I love.
Metroid, I don't know if I really had
I was a Mega Man kid.
Mega Man
Mega Man 2.
Yeah.
Mega Man 2 soundtrack, like I have like ringtones from that. It's got so much great stuff on it.
Hell yeah. Yeah, dude, it's good stuff, man. It holds up.
And if you played those games as a kid, it's burned into your brain because you sat and played them for hours and hours and on a loop, you know?
Yeah, you're exactly right. I don't think a lot of people understand that, but that's exactly it. Like you play NES games for fucking 8 hours a day, and then you leave it on pause overnight and then go back to it. Or I'd go to school and leave it on pause. I'd be like, "You can't watch TV today, Mom. I gotta like." It's just and it just repeats as you play. It's just definitely burned into your brain.
So it might not even be consciously influencing you.
Exactly, but I like to, when I think about it, I'm like, yeah, it probably is a little bit of it.
Dryden, did you have anything?
No, that was it. I was just interested about that
The video game thing.
Yeah, that's one of my.
Well, the new record comes out tomorrow, so let's kind of focus on that. The singles are great, but I really love some of the later tracks on there. Like I think it was track 7.
Chaos Reigns, I think.
Chaos Reigns, that's the one. Yeah, just the progressive, the way that you guys go through those riffs, it's like the next level of Within the Ruins. What inspired you to do Phenomena 2? You said it's been 10 years since the first one?
Yeah, 10 years. I think the first one came out in July or August, literally 10 years ago. So it was Steve's idea. Like he threw it out there as kind of like a joke. I think this is our story because we were trying to think of like how it really came about. But yeah, we were like getting a few years out from doing the record, and he just threw it out there in a text like we could always do Phenomena too. Because I think I was texting the guys like what I'm writing and shit, but like there's a point where I'm writing and I get enough stuff kind of done to show guys, and I'm like, what are we gonna do though? Like, what's this gonna be about? Do you have any ideas, Steve, or like where are you at lyrically? Because when we did Blackheart, a lot of the music ended up getting kind of written around the idea of where Steve was at and what he was gonna like write about. He was pretty like emotional, angry. He had a lot of shit going on. So as I write, I kind of work with him and see like, what's the music going to be like to like kind of convey what you're doing. But he didn't really have an idea. He's like, we could always do Phenomena too, and I was like, okay, no, that's stupid. But the idea stuck though. It wasn't stupid. And then I kind of I think I wrote Demon Killer, kind of was in the vein of Phenomena, like kind of reminded me of Phenomena type shit. And then I was like, wow, this is fun to kind of like, I don't know, it's not really our roots, but go back to your roots in a way. I mean, we have way older shit, but it was a good time period of when we had a certain writing style. So I don't know, I just got into it, and I was like, I think like a year later when we were getting ready to track vocals and really get into the album, we decided on it. And also the album we thought it was going to be out last year. And it was I wasn't writing quick enough or whatever the fuck. So it was taking longer. So then we knew it was coming out in, 2024. So I was like, oh shit, that's literally going to be 10 years. So it just all kind of came about,
Yeah.
Perfectly. There's Steve actually too. I love it. Like the melody on this record is mostly in the guitar. Well, it's all in the guitars. And even Steve, I noticed like he branches out a little bit and does some stuff that I've never heard him do vocally before, which is amazing.
Yeah, he killed it, dude. This is, I mean, it's his second album with us. He's been in the band for like 6 or 7 years now, but yeah, he really impressed me when we were tracking. He definitely showed a lot of growth. He was super into all of his lyrics, all the stories from the character point of view. He was just super fucking into this project. Like maybe on a different level, maybe not as emotionally. It was more like super stoked to do this. And every time he would fly up here for a few weeks to my studio to do vocals because he's from Texas. But every time he came up, man, he had all his stuff prepared, and it was that way we were able to spend way more time on execution and just like even recreating parts around his vocal parts, which we don't usually do. And yeah, I try to push him here and there with some ideas on like vocal range and stuff where he's like, I don't know if I can even do that. And sometimes we hit it, or sometimes we find a new range or like a new voice that he can kind of use, keep it in the toolbox, and then find somewhere else where it works. And yeah, he fucking killed it.
So go into the comments real quick. We got the Heavy Metal Sit Down saying this is super underrated band. Couldn't agree more. You guys have been killing it for a long time, and I really hope that people gravitate to this new record because it's definitely, like I said, I think it's one of your best works yet. So
thanks, man.
I love some of the tracks, like the names of them, Eater of Worlds, or like I really like that one, Corruption, where it just kind of starts super aggressive. There's no intro. It's just straight into the fucking heavy guitars.
Yeah. Yeah, hell yeah. I was like,
go ahead, sorry.
I was saying that there doesn't have to be an intro for every goddamn song, but sometimes I tend to do that a lot. And I like to like set it up. But yeah, that one was just straight up. We didn't have an intro. I'm like, fuck it. Just starts off with
it's badass.
Yeah.
One of my favorite tracks on the last record was Open Wounds for that reason. It just has that kind of like little guitar piece and then it just punches you in the face.
Yeah, that song's one of my favorites from Blackheart. It didn't end up being a single for some reason. I feel like we suck at picking singles, honestly. They're so hard when you're in the moment and you're like in the record. Like always like, oh, this one, and this one for sure. And then like months later they come out and it's like, why didn't we pick this song?
That one.
Open Wounds is pretty badass. That's a tough song.
Oh, that is honestly, I have a playlist on Spotify called Top Shelf Heavy, and that is the first track on it. So
nice. Thanks, man.
Yeah. Quick, I don't know how much more time you have, but I'm curious too, like who your influences are as far as guitar playing goes. Like, are there any specific players that inspired you really heavily, or inspired you to pick up a guitar or do something that is signature to the band?
Yeah, well, like I said, my early reason I started playing was Black Sabbath, Metallica, Pantera. Again, all the stuff that probably anyone our age would say, but more like recently, since we kind of officially started our career, it was definitely a lot of metalcore bands like Killswitch, As I Lay Dying, and shit like that got us going in the direction we were going. And then I mean, as far as I'd say like Arch Enemy, either of the brothers. I know it's just Michael now. Probably one of my biggest influences with the leads and the melodic stuff. And I think probably the Black Dahlia Murder, Brian, he's like one of my favorite writers for this style of music, and I pick up a lot from him, structure wise, riff wise. Like I've just always been a fan of Black Dahlia since they started. So
I'm so on that page. They're one of my favorite bands of the last 20 years.
Yeah, me too. Yeah,
we're actually interviewing Ryan Knight next week. So
that's awesome. Yeah, so that's like my shit for now. I don't listen to a ton of music. I'm pretty boring actually musically. Like, and I listen to just like I'm 38, so like I don't really pay attention to all the new shit coming out, and I like what I like, and sometimes I'll find new shit, but there's nothing wrong with just sticking to those the Swedish metal bands and like all that shit. So
what works?
Yep.
Yeah, really cool to hear you cite Black Dahlia Murder too, because they're another band that I always loved that the melody was in the guitar. You know, like there's some of those guitar riffs are hooks, like that stick in my head.
Yeah,
he's so brutal.
The genius fucking riffer, and it's funny because they're still an active band. I'll drop their name all day long as far as inspiration. I don't really care. So
that's amazing. Dryden, do you have any other questions?
I think I touched on most of the stuff I wanted to ask.
Yeah, man, I know you got a lot going on, so we sincerely appreciate your time. Huge fans, both of us, of the band, and can't talk enough good stuff about you guys. Like, everyone should go listen to the record. It comes out at midnight tonight.
Yep.
And Within the Ruins, you guys are touring this summer too, right? Are you?
A little bit. Where are you guys at?
I'm actually in Albuquerque, New Mexico now.
I'm in Los Angeles.
Dryden is in LA still.
Nice. We won't be that far out anytime soon, but we're doing like we just announced some Midwest dates because, like I said, Steve and Paulo live in San Antonio, so that's kind of become like our other home.
Sure.
Have like a whole separate rig out there for tours. So we're flying out there in October to do a handful of dates, and then we're announcing some Northeast dates next week, a little bit of Canada, and then we're trying to like hit everywhere, but we're not doing it where we're like hopping in the van and going out for like 3 months straight, because after COVID, when we got a break from touring, honestly, we all got into other shit, business, I had a kid. There's just a lot going on. It's hard to jump right back into it. So we're trying to just like do a week here, a week there, and give us a little time in between. So yeah, we'll be around. We got to do some shit.
Yeah.
You guys definitely got to get out to Albuquerque. There's a really cool kind of blossoming metal scene here.
Yeah, man. Albuquerque is always fun. What's the is that the
Sunshine Theater, the Launch Pad too. There's a couple great venues here.
Yeah, those are the ones we usually play. But yeah, man, it's always fun there. I'm sure we'll be there eventually. We got some time on the album cycle, so
awesome. Well, Joe, thank you so much for taking the time, man. The new record comes out tomorrow. Do you want to shout out like your socials or anything, or anything else you guys want us to promote?
Well, I'm not really into all that shit, but we have Instagram, Within the Ruins Official, and the Facebook, and then you can pre-order. I think there's an exclusive pre-order through Bandcamp for vinyl, and then we have a few other vinyl variants on our label's website, MNRK Heavy. Also, it's double vinyl, so the album wouldn't fit on one vinyl, so we had to, in order to not lose a song, we put the album as all instrumentals on the second vinyl in there. So pretty stoked about that. I'm sure they'll be released, but yeah, new music video will be out tomorrow, and the album will be out. So.
Oh yeah.
Awesome. Well, everybody needs to check it out. One of the best metal albums of the year, in my opinion. And thanks again, Joe. I hope to talk to you again, man. Please come back through and talk to us again.
For sure.
When you got something new coming out or anything.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you, guys.
Take care.
All right.
Keep it brutal, everybody. We'll see you next time.